Sharps Brewery, Doom Bar.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Today, or should I say tonight, I've got a beer that I said I'd never review. And here I am with it. This is the Great Satan of the top fermented beer from England. This is Doom Bar. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you who are into your ale have tried this at some point in your life. I used to really like this stuff. I remember trying this first in my local, and it must have been about, I would say, 2008 or 2009. I don't know how they got hold of it, but it was only on for a while and then it disappeared. But it was really good. I really did enjoy it. And then, as I say, it vanished. And it came back a few years later. It wasn't bad, I will say that. About 2011, 2012, it came back. It wasn't bad, but since then, I think it's gone through a bit of a metamorphosis, and it's turned into one of the most generic beers. I mean, it's not on the John Smith's bad scale, but to be honest, if I see this, it really has to be desperate for me to have a pint of this on draft in a pub, because if they've got Guinness, I'll go for the Guinness over this. And the reason is, in 2011, the Sharps Brewery, who are based in Cornwall, in a place called Rock in Cornwall, they were taken over by Molson Coors. And of course, Molson Coors are like AB InBev. They're one of these big multinational corporations who take over these little breweries. In fact, they took over that lot in 2011, which would explain, I suppose, the quality of the beer before then. But, you know, it didn't go downhill, you know, immediately after 2011 when it got taken over, because I do remember drinking this as late as 2014. I was playing cricket at the time, and we were in a clubhouse and they had this on draft, and it wasn't too bad. I remember drinking it and thinking, this is not a bad pint. But eventually, yeah, it really is the most banal, boring beer. To be honest, it's not bad, but it's just uninspiring. Not really. It's not the John Smiths where you want to just take a mouthful and throw it down the sink. It's just one of these where you just think, oh, I might as well be drinking water. I don't mean because it's tasteless as water, but it's just about as inspiring as that. But I will say this used to be a good beer, and it did have a lot going for it. And I've tried some of this stuff from the Sharps Brewery as well. Their bottled stuff is, even though they are still based in Cornwall, they only brew beer, they have no pubs. Their bottled beer, I think, is bottled up in Burton-on-Trent. And I think that's probably when it started going downhill. Can I see it on here? Well, it says the main office is in Cornwall still, but I'm pretty sure this is brewed in Burton-on-Trent, which is where a lot of the Molson Coors stuff gets brewed. It's one of them beers that you see it everywhere, and as I say, I'm sure if you're a beer drinker in the UK, that you will see that in almost every bar you go into if they do some kind of top fermented beer. I know Wetherspoons do it, and a lot of them big pub chains do it as well. Obviously not the Marstons, but I think I've seen it in Green King pubs as well, believe it or not. And there's a lot of free houses that do it too, but Wetherspoons, as I say, do it as well. But it's, for me, it's just the most uninspiring beer going, and it really, as I say, it really has to be desperate straits for me to have a pint of that, because it just doesn't do anything for me. And I've said I'd never review it on the strength of that, but I'm at the stage now where I've got quite a lot of foreign beer in my fridge to review. I've got a mate coming over in December, and he's bringing a fucking shit ton full of beer over for me, and I'm buying him a load of British beer. I'm going to have a few Christmas ales out of this lot. I'm sort of splashed out on a lot of beers for him, and I've got doubles of a few that I'm going to review on the channel, mostly Christmas beers from good breweries. But I want to sort of redress the balance, and I know I shouldn't really be doing this because, well, I just tend on this channel, it's not like most channels. I tend to buy beer that I think I'm going to like, and I will review shit beer just for shits and giggles, as the Americans would say, and I suppose this would fall under that trap. But it's one of them beers that I haven't drunk out of the bottle. Fuck me, I'm going back now, long time. So I could be surprised. It might actually be nice, but if the cask or the draft stuff is anything to go by, then it ain't going to be that great. Now, they do talk a good fight. This is their flagship beer. The brewery are quite big, believe it or not. I mean, if you can get, I mean, they're based in Cornwall. If you can get their stuff up here, it's rare that you find the St Austell stuff up here in pubs on the same scale as you do with Dunbar. But that's the reason Molson Coors are so big, because they've got very good distribution links. The only trouble is they are distributing shit beer because they are bean counters. They're like AB InBev. They will scrimp and save. They will buy in bulk. They will buy cheap. They will not take they brew on a huge scale. They will not take the care that a craft brewer or a good quality medium-sized English brewer would brew a beer. It's all about turnover, it's all about profit, and it's all about the shareholders. So yeah, it's one of them things. And I will say, I mean, this accounts for 90%, and this does account for 90% of their sales for the Sharps Brewery. But Sharps do a couple of other good beers. What's the one they do? A Mid-Atlantic IPA? That's crap. That's Percy. Percy, you're not coming in here, mate, because this is shit beer. I don't like this. Get him out of the way. It's the last thing I need. He's been in the bin twice today. He's a little fucker. My stepdaughter's been she's been cooking and putting food in the bin, and that's like a fucking challenge for him. It's like the Krypton factor. And I came in today, and the bin was all over the floor. I was fucking fuming, I was. So I put everything back in the bin, cleaned up. And then I came in again, I was in the studio, and I came back, and he had the bin around his head, and everything was all around the floor. So yeah, he went to doggy jail. That's his little crate that he sleeps in at night. He was in there. He didn't like that at all, but he has to learn. Anyway, enough about Percy. Let's go on to this brewery. They've been going since 1994, and this was first brewed in 1996. It has won a lot of awards, and the surprising thing is 15 awards actually, as recently as 2020. And they first started winning awards for this in, I think it was 2010 or 2009. So that was before the takeover. They've been winning awards after that as well. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's in a clear bottle. You know, that's probably not going to do it any favours, but what can you do about that? Yeah, and would you believe Molson Coors bought this lot for 20 million? I'm sure they've made their money back now, because they sell a lot of this stuff. I know a lot of people that drink this, and if you're standing in a pub, and you will see quite a few people drinking this stuff, but for me it ain't the greatest. Let's check this out. Right, Dunbar is a perfectly balanced beer combining subtle yet complex flavours. Dunbar is both satisfying and deliciously Moorish. I'll be the judge of that. Yeah, I should have explained what the reason behind the name was, at the mouth of the Camel Estuary, they're obsessed with camels down in Cornwall. There's a place called Camelford. My mate calls it Camel Toe. I'm not even going to go there. There's at the mouth of Camel Estuary in Rock, Cornwall, lies the treacherous Doombar sandbank, the inspiration for this balanced and Moorish amber ale. The sandbank is revered as a formidable nautical challenge that should be approached with respect and navigated with skill. If you are in the UK and if you have never been to Cornwall, I suggest you get down there. It is a beautiful part of the world. Where there's the travel restrictions now, I know it's coming up to winter, but when the summer comes, or the warmer months come, get yourself down to Cornwall. It is absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed it. I went to Boscastle. I've got a mate that lives down there, and we did a little bit of touring around there as well, and went to Tintagel. It's a lovely part of the world. Tintagel Brewery, very good indeed. Their stuff is very expensive though, so hence the reason it's not on the channel. That's a shame really, because it pisses all over this stuff, believe me. Anyway, enough about that. Did I say it was 4.3%? Serve best chilled. Yeah, we know why that's served chilled, because it disguises the bad flavours. Anyway, let's get this open and see what's going on. Fucking hell, place falling apart. Sharps. Remember that beer? Sharp. Not Sharp, Harp. What's all about? Harp stays sharp to the bottom of the glass. Remember that? From the 80s. That's an Irish lager, brewed by Guinness. Quite popular in the United States. Believe it or not. It tastes like dog shit. Guinness, stick to what you know best. And that's porter and stout. Right, what are we getting on ye oldie nose? I mean, fuck that up, haven't I? Bit of a big head on that. It's amber. This is supposed to be a bitter. Wow. Marston's will be proud of this. I don't think I can get any aroma out of that at all. Oh, it really is vague. I don't know whether it's because of the size of the head. But it's literally nothing. And I haven't got COVID either. I've just put out a pint of the Hook Norton Off the Hook IPA. Really good. Surprisingly good. I really wasn't expecting much from that, but that really did surprise me. Excellent stuff. That got a 9 out of 10. And I'll follow it up with this. I mean, it does look nice. I will say that. It looks like a reasonably good pint of bitter, but there's just no aroma. I'm trying. Fuck all. Straight out of the Marston's cookbook. Anyway, let's get it down the hatch. Wish me luck. To be honest, it's pretty much what I'd have expected. It's not the worst beer in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a John Smith's, this is not a pour down the sink job. It's not that bad, and maybe I've been a little bit harsh on it. This is drinkable if there's nothing else. But it's just bland. Very, very bland. I think there's some kind of artificialness going on in there. It's not a nasty, but I've had this before from big macro brewed beer. It's like there's I don't know whether it's malt extract or something, but it just, what was it? It's the equivalent of chewing gum. The beer equivalent of chewing gum. Yeah, it's nice to have in your gob and all that, but it's not gonna satisfy you. It's just totally inoffensive, no character, bland. The equivalent of, who was that Conservative politician? Geoffrey Howe. It's got the personality of Geoffrey Howe. And it's just, it's one of them beers for people that don't like beer. People will buy this. You know what's going to happen now, don't you? Some fucker's going to buy this for me for Christmas and say, oh, you like beers and bitters and ales, don't you? And you're going to get that. I was in Morrison's a few months ago, and there was a woman, she was obviously buying beer for her husband. And she said, a mate with her, and she said, oh, what's that beer he likes? Dunbar. Yeah, I've resisted the urge to say, don't buy that. Just buy something else. And there's some good stuff in London Pride. I mean, fucking hell, this is light years behind London Pride. This is just, I mean, they call it a bitter. It's not as bad as the Marston stuff. Now, the Marston stuff has got no aroma and it tastes pretty foul. This is, it's just inoffensive. It's just, I don't know, it's like the equivalent of drinking air. No real finish. No, nothing on the palate. There's vague suggestions that it's a beer, but yeah, it's got no character whatsoever. And it's a difficult one for me to put into words. I want to get it across that it's not offensive. It's just, why have you bothered? Why have you bothered pumping this shit out? And as I said, it's for people that, and I'm not looking down my nose at them, and I really want to make this clear in all my videos, I'm not one of these beer snobs. I'll try and point people in the right direction. That's the whole point of these videos. But I just think that you really shouldn't be wasting your time drinking this stuff, because there is so much more better beer out there if you're just willing to look for it and not put up with this shit. And that's the trouble. People will put up with this. And you know, who was it who said it? Bill Hicks, one of my favourite comedians. I mean, if you've not heard of Bill Hicks, look him up. He's a bit offensive, so if you're easily offended, don't look it up. But he was talking about dead rock stars, and he was talking about New Kids on the Block. I mean, it's a fantastic sketch. He was calling them suckers of Satan's cock. I mean, fuck it, no, it's a bit extreme, but you know, he's got a point. But he's basically saying they're just nobody's, non-entities, and he come out with a very profound line, and it was like a throwaway comment, but I do cling to that. And he says, he was talking about, you know, kids are going to be listening to music. He says, when did banality and boring become an inspiration for your kids? And it's true, you know, and it's like the same's true for beer as well. You know, if you're quite, I'm not knocking you. If you're quite contented drinking this beer, that's fine. However, you're missing out. You're definitely missing out. There's better beers out there. If you don't like the taste of beer, then A, why drink it? Find another drink. But if this floats your boat, I know taste is different, but I'm really questioning now. I said this wasn't going to be a sink job, but I'm not pouring it down the sink because I don't like the taste of it. I'm pouring it down the sink because I just cannot be fucking bothered to drink it. I mean, that's how inspiring it is. And I don't think I've ever had a beer like that. For me, if it's a bad beer, yeah, it's going down the sink. This is just so inoffensive. It's not even bad. I mean, if you've got a bad character on a beer, then yeah, it goes down the sink. This isn't even worthy of that. I mean, that's how banal and boring and beige it is. It's, I don't know. You know, I'm trying to give you some flavours here. This is really difficult. There's vague malt, and I think that's coming from malt extract. Tastes a little bit artificial, but it's drinkable. It's not the worst in the world. And there's a little suggestion of fruit on there, but it's... I mean, I'm putting it in a London Pride glass. If this was London Pride, this would be fucking gone, because London Pride, I could drink that in an old rotten shed and it'd still be good. But this stuff is just boring, bland, uninspiring. So, do you need to know the verdict on this? It's not the worst beer in the world, you know, it's not a pour down the sink job, but I'm going to pour it down the sink because I can't be bothered to drink it. And the reason I can't be bothered to drink it is because there is no point. It's like going out for a meal and having a chewing gum. That's what it is. You know, if you even if you're going out to get pissed and you drink Doom Bar, why would you do it? I would urge anybody who drinks this and who buys it, if you do come across this, you know, if you stumble across this video, you know, and you like it, I've bashed this all through this video. If you like it, then that's fine. But I will leave you with this. There are better beers out there and you're missing out. And if you just take the time to go to a pub and see what else, see what guest ales, see if they've got any local beers on tap, see if, you know, and that's, I'm assuming if you drink this, you like your bitters and your ales and your top fermented beers. Just see what the local beer is, see what the guest ale is, see what else they've got. You know, if it's going to be Green King or Ruddles County or whatever like that, it's much of a muchness. You know, if that's all they've got, then, and you're happy to drink this, then that's fine. But my advice to you would be to just check out what they've got. Try and support a local brewer rather than giving it to Molson Coors. And yeah, you know, give your taste buds a treat and, you know, stop accepting bad beer. When I say life is too short to be drinking shitty beer, that's not a throwaway comment. I do mean that, because, as I say, and I see this in the American film Beer Wars, and a brewer came out with a very good phrase that said, most Americans haven't tasted good beer. 100% right, I agree with him. And I'd say, in fact, I'd go one further and say, I think most people in the UK haven't tasted good beer, and that's a real shame, because there is so many good beers out there. Why buy this? There is absolutely no need. And, you know, if you're going to be drinking John Smith's and Tetley Cream Flow and all that, fucking, well, I don't know. I can't really slag off people's taste, but for fuck's sake, I can slag off your taste in music. If you come up to me and say, I don't know, you like fucking, who is it? I don't know. I'm so out of touch now with music. I mean, if you like Coldplay, then fuck off. This is the beer equivalent of Coldplay. Just inoffensive, just wishy-washy, and fuck off. Relax. That for me is a 4 out of 10, and the bottom line is it's just so inoffensive. It doesn't do anything. It barely resembles beer, and it's got beer flavour in it, but yeah, there's no real flavour, there's no real character to it. Don't waste your money, get something else, give your taste buds a treat. And remember, I'm drinking this shit, so you don't have to.